Can't hear.
We don't have Nico tonight, so.
Try now.
How about now? Can y'all hear me at home?
I don't buy anywhere near. That's what I hit. I don't buy it. Don't do that.
Okay, can they hear me at home?
Yes, they can hear you.
They can hear me? Okay. Okay, so first of all, let's double check phones. We got a lot of people in the room. Just take a look at your phone. Let's make sure they're off. No vibration, none of that. In this space with this many people, let's just, if we can all just promise each other that for this hour and a half, we can be present with each other. We don't need our phone. We don't need to worry about that. Let's just be here together. At any point, if you need to go to the bathroom, all you new people through the house, underneath the deck, through the double sliding glass doors to the left. So there's also coffee and drinks back there if you need to take care of that. If you haven't already, feel free. Thank you for those of you who have brought in some auction donations. So our biggest event of the year is coming up on November 9th. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. It's our 10th anniversary this year. It's our 7th auction, but our 10th anniversary, so we're going big. So thank you to all of you. Today was the deadline for all the auction donations. Now, a lot of you are coming on Sunday to the basket wrapping party. So thank you for hanging on to your stuff until then, just because for space purposes. So 11 a.m. on Sunday, all the ladies that can come and help us wrap baskets, you're all invited. We're going to turn this space into a big workshop, and we're going to have photography here with Sherry. We're going to have wrapping, and we're going to have all these stations going on. So we could definitely use all of your help. 11 a.m. and we're going to bust it out. We're going to have a lot of fun that day. So bring your, that is the absolute drop dead deadline. It absolutely is, because there's a lot of work that we need to do behind the scenes between then and the auction to get all the items cataloged and descriptions and values. So that is the absolute drop dead deadline. I promise you. So for those of you at home that still have things, connect.
We'll let you bring some after.
No, we won't. We won't, we can't because there's so much to the process that people don't, no, don't listen to him. There's so much to the process that you don't know that these hardworking ladies on our auction team do behind the scenes to get ready. So, so if you still are hanging on to your stuff and you're not going to see us on Sunday, be sure and reach out to me, Becky or Kristen, to make sure we arrange to get that before Sunday. So thank you. If you haven't gotten your auction tickets yet, please do get on there and get them. It helps, the quicker you get them, it helps us know numbers. So don't delay any longer. Please get those tickets, invite all your friends. We need lots of people there. It's going to be an incredible night. So it's at the Muckleshoots Casino Event Center. It's a beautiful space. It's just going to be a fantastic night. So join us. And then we did get, thank you to the Dershes who got us a sponsorship today from Stanley Cup Company. They're giving us their $5,000 sponsor. So thank you, Lori Dersh. She spoke to the right person and they said, we're sending a check. So it was as easy as that for her. So thank you guys so much. We've gotten Umpqua Bank. We've gotten Rick Ellingson, the Wiggins that just never stop giving. Thank you. Sophia Torito in memory of one of her loved ones. Am I missing somebody? There's one I'm missing, but all these sponsorships are so appreciated. Thank you so much. When we have sponsorships going into the auction, it's so helpful to have everything paid for before it starts, because the venue and the food and all that. So it's pretty cool, because then at that point, all of it is, going towards, raising funds for scholarships, for hiring additional employees in the new year, which we need with Battlefield and all that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Am I missing anything, Becky or Bill? Mob. The Mob. Moms at Battlefield. Every Wednesday after solution group. So the weeks that we have solution group, we follow it up with tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. We have a 1-hour coffee date on Zoom. So from where you're at, maybe you can arrange your lunch hour during that time and join us. It's a lot of fun. We get to talk about the topic from the night before. Sometimes we don't have questions right off the bat. And then later, tomorrow morning, us ladies get to talk about what was talked about, and we get to process it, which is really cool. We get to know each other more. So all you ladies are totally invited. So join us. If you need the link, just reach out to me or Becky and we'll get you the link. I think that's it. So I'm going to hand it over to Art. So,
I think I did okay there, John.
all right, it's on. It's on. Oh, I forgot posters. If anybody can take posters, there's still a huge stack back there. So if you have any posters in your town, any businesses you frequent, please grab a humongous stack. If you can help us get it out, because we don't want a bunch of these extra in 3 weeks. That would be a bummer to have to like throw away a whole bunch of these. So take as many, you can't take too many at this point because we're 3 weeks away. And so let's get them out there. Take a huge stack.
Just grab one and put it up in your bedroom or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
When you get, hopefully if you get into this thing and you realize that there is something to be learned from what we're all going through, and I did that. I learned that there was something to be learned from my experience, and it was not just like an option of something to be learned. For me, it was mandatory that I must learn something from all this disaster. So 17 years of destruction and hurt and separation from my family and missed holidays and missed birthdays and me screwing up every holiday with, my energy never matched the holiday. So, for me, I was, either way too up on Thanksgiving or way too down. And I was in the bathrooms a lot and, a lot of destruction. And so, for me, it was mandatory when I got sober that, and by the way, all this camera stuff, we're on kind of a social media like blitz thing that we're doing, trying to work in the community and change the narrative about what's going on with this stuff and what you hear out there, and trying to get different perspectives out for ourselves. And we're also meeting a lot of people like Reichert and the people we're meeting of influence. And so we're trying to actually make an impact in the community. And the first thing we need to do is to get known. So we want people to see what we're doing. And so a lot of this stuff, I didn't just hire him to so there's a purpose to doing it. I don't, feel kind of stupid, but anyways. So one of the things that it led me to do was, of course, when I got sober, it was 12-step work. And I thought, okay, let me read this big book and let me listen to a sponsor and let me see all that. And then I stumbled across in 1990 or in 2014, I stumbled across a gentleman named Eckhart Tolle. And, it was given to me. And when I read the book, there was just one particular sentence that stood out. And it said, pain is resistance to what is. And to me, I just unlocked the universe. Because what he meant by that was that every person experiencing pain, and for me, pain was a lot of my life. I created it. I dealt with it. I didn't deal with it. I hurt people. Pain. It was kind of a common theme of my life, escaping pain. I saw that word and I went, okay, pain is resistance to what is. And for me, that was like really a big deal because I looked and I saw humans and I watched them. Then after I heard that sentence and I went, oh, wow, they're resisting the way it is. And that's why they're struggling right now. They're resisting. They're crying over spilled milk. That's what we do. So it's this whole thing where it is true that this is happening, but I don't want it to be true. So I'm in pain over it. Or it is true that happened, but I don't want to admit that happened, or I want to take a different perspective about it. And so I'm in this pain. And I thought, oh, this is the end. I will no longer be in pain. This is really clear because all I got to do is accept the things that are happening in my life. I got to accept what people said to me. I got to accept, conditions that are happening. I got to accept if I'm sick. I got to accept if someone dies. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems. This is gold. And for me, it was true. This signified a shift in my life, a real shift where I didn't linger in that time of anguish, and spend those days like in my head, not accepting the way things are, talking to people about, can you believe it's like this? Can you believe they did that to me? I stopped all that. And it was done with a simple breath. I just went, this is the way it is. And pain was relieved. And I was like, whoa, this is big. Remember in the Seahawks and the Patriots, when that Super Bowl, when the Seahawks, lost in the end with the interception, and you saw that play. And I always relate that to this experience of like, how can one thing be going on and one entire state be in complete joy and one entire state be in complete agony? And it was visual, because you could see New England Patriots fans standing up like that over the play. And then you saw the anguish and the pain on the Seattle fans. They're just there, just the resistance to what is, and that causing them that suffering. And then you saw over here, this elation to the same thing. This is exact same thing going on. To this state resists it, this state accepts it, and look at the difference. And so to me, it was this golden ticket. And it was a golden ticket in my life. I used it, and I began to tell people, you're just resisting what it is. But people don't really like that. So you tell them, hey, all you got to do is just stop resisting, and then you'll be okay. But they won't, And so Eckhart kind of got it. He says it very clear. He says pain is resistance to what is. But see, I saw it differently going on, because then I saw that you could teach people that, but they still didn't want to hear that. I saw that you could teach people that, you could tell people that, but they still didn't want to use it, because people, and I started to do a study into like, why do people, and then I went, oh, our pain is self-chosen. So you start looking, and what really is this idea is that, yes, I'm not accepting what is, and no, I don't want to. So then we started going further into like what's going on, or I started looking into further what's going on. And then I saw that there was something going on that what happens when people experience pain is their heart closes. So what happens, and I want to kind of describe what it means to have your heart closed. And what a heart closed is that you feel against something. You feel against people, you feel against the situation, you feel against, and so you experience this pain, you resist how it is, you don't like it, but then your heart closes. And when your heart closes, you begin to like blame the situation, and you begin to deal with that situation with righteousness, and you begin to like hash over how you're being wronged. And I saw this process of people hashing over how they're being wronged, and hashing over how it should be, and hashing over why it's not okay, and then using a bit of righteousness about how could this be happening to me. And I saw people would rather be right about what's going on than open their heart. And I saw it because it was real clear to me. Okay, I had this experience in pain. I'm resisting the way it is. But now if I'm not going to suffer anymore, I got to go over here and I got to figure out a way to open my heart back up. Because it's not just acceptance. Because sometimes your mind won't let you accept. Sometimes your body. So we're missing this period of pain happening in our body. This whole resistance that's going on. The high blood pressure, the movement of our blood pressure. The thing that we see. So what you see is this fight or flight mechanism, that we have a resistance to what is, followed by a closed heart, and we begin to protect ourselves with something called righteousness. So what we do is we start being right. And being right, that's wrong, becomes our new mechanism to relieve our pain. So we're not ready to open our heart. We're not ready to say, hey, I accept this, and I got to understand this, and I got to go back to this person, and I got to try to, no, we'd rather be right than open our hearts back up. And so one by one, our relationships get this kind of closed heart kind of way with people, and we don't want to be around them anymore, and we don't like that anymore, and we live this way. And then I've been noticing even more, it's going further into that, is that once somebody goes from pain to closed heart to righteousness, they want this thing to be happening. They like it that it's happening. They are really kind of happy that it's happening, and then it begins to happen more, whatever their relationship problem is. If you can ever be in the center of my life, I would love for anyone to kind of come get on my phone with me for a day, or get to come to groups for a day. And what it is that once people get that closed heart and they get the righteousness, the process that begins to happen then is they begin to tell me why it's not their fault, or why this is wrong, or how they've been wrong. And really what I get to listen to is many, many, many innocent people Everybody that comes to me with a relationship issue is 100% innocent. So they are innocent. I don't know why I'm being treated this way. I don't understand why I'm being treated this way. How come I'm being treated this way? And it's this constant thing where I get to get on the phone and I get to deal between two people that are in relationships, and no one's ever at fault. No one's ever responsible for it. No one's ever, it's always the other person. And it just goes and goes and goes. And then people want me to, what it sounds like people want is, like that, in your relationships, like Dalton, this is what they want from me. It seems like in this relationship issue, Dalton, I find you not guilty. This is what people want to hear. I find you 100% accurate in your tale of your relationship with the person that you're arguing with. You're right. You're not guilty. They are wrong. And then something would happen to that person, I guess. And so for me, it's this case building on every side. And I just get to sit in the middle and I deal with maybe family members, or I get to deal with an addict against an addict, or I get to deal with a family against an addict, or I get to deal with just coworkers against coworkers. And every person that tells me the story never has done anything wrong. They've never, and I started thinking about it last night and I went, I've never, ever, ever in my life been confused about why I'm getting treated the way I'm getting treated. I've never been confused. I always can look back and go, oh, I get it. I've never been confused. Like literally, you can't, if somebody treats me like shit, I go, oh, they saw that and they heard that, and I could get why they could treat me like that. But I have people so confused all the time about the way they're getting treated. They're innocent and they're confused. They can't figure it out. So what it boils down to is that what happened is what we're missing here about ourselves. Why can't people see themselves? Why can't they see why they're being treated the way they're being treated? Why do they want to be found not guilty? Why would you want to be found not guilty in your own life? Why? You see, and that baffles me because I deal with a lot of people that want me to say nothing is your fault. Nothing is your doing. Everything is somebody else's. And I can't imagine that. So what I've concluded and what I've kind of seen is
That's open right there.
right there.
That's open right there. Yeah.
Is it this thing, whatever this thing is, something hasn't went my way in a relationship or in a situation. I've struggled, I've had pain because of that. I resist that it's not going my way. I close my heart. And when I close my heart, I get very righteous about this situation and I point out its wrongness and I point out my own rightness. And that's going to kind of get me somewhere somehow. But what we're really missing here is that people with a closed heart are never innocent. That's where innocence is lost. You see, when you act with a closed heart, when you act from that feeling of against somebody, when you put somebody on the defensive, when you challenge people, when you say mean things, when you talk with criticism, when you talk with sarcasm, when you talk with just kind of a flippant way, like, yeah, you always do that or whatever, you don't understand yourself with a closed heart. See, when I close my heart and speak to people, the results are there. It's not good. People feel my resistance towards them. They feel that I'm angry with them. They feel that I'm frustrated with them. And when they feel that, they get defensive. I'm never innocent with a closed heart. You see? So the work isn't right or wrong. The work isn't deciding I did this and they did that and who's right. It's whose heart is staying open. See, that's the person that's responsible for making a relationship better. Because I really want you to understand what a closed heart is. It's a racing mind of blame. It's a protective heart. It shuts down. It says, boom, this person's wrong. I'm right. Oh, and it holds that resistance and it protects us because we don't want to experience any more pain from that person. And so without people doing the work, well, what is the work? The work is on our own, figuring out ways to open our heart back up, figuring out ways to keep our heart open, figuring out ways to handle the resistance, to be bigger than the resistance, to say, yes, when it doesn't go my way right now, we are a country divided in resistance. Two different parties, both with closed hearts, both right, and we're at a stalemate. And both want to be found not guilty. There's no more ideas, if you've not noticed. No one has a plan or an idea, but rather they spend all their time pointing out the wrongs of the other side. And we are at a gridlock. We're also in a gridlock in our families. We're in a gridlock in our relationships in the same fashion. That actually the person that would win, right or left, family member, addict, is the person who practices, who understands that I must keep an open heart. But because what does it feel like when somebody shuts their heart to you? What does it feel like when they get accusatory to you? What does it feel like when they treat you with sarcasm? What does it feel like when I can say almost anything to anybody about anything. So now we're getting to what is tough love. Tough love is accountability with an open heart. See, it's not accountability, that's tough. It's not enabling, that's somehow people's definition of love. What it is accountability with an open heart. I'm not mad at you at all. I'm not in any resistance and pain, but that's just not going to work. It's not going to go that way. It's being able to communicate with this open heart and be able to say, I can say almost anything to anybody as long as my heart is open. But when my heart is closed, I can't say anything to anybody without being in a fight. So you've all experienced it. You've experienced, you can't say anything. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. You feel like I can't even approach situations. The reason you feel like that is because you're trying to approach situations from a protective, closed heart. You're trying to say, stop doing this because this is hurting me. And I am protecting myself. And when you got to understand what this closed heart, open heart thing is, you got to feel it in your body. You got to understand your own resistance. You got to get to a place where you know if your heart is closed or it's open. And when you speak to people about their behavior and you speak with an open heart, you can get through. You can make a difference. When you speak to people with a closed heart, you will put them on the defense. So I will tell you, you can figure out if you're speaking to somebody about their behavior and they're getting defensive, that's because your heart's closed. That's why they're getting defensive. They can feel your resistance. They can feel you wanting to protect yourself from them. They can feel your anger. They can feel the resentments. They can feel all of it. Nobody's innocent. So in our relationships, why do we want to be innocent? Why don't we want to be the person in charge? Why don't we want to be the leader? See, the leader in a relationship is when there's a scuffle. Boom, 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 boom. Two people scuffle. Two people go get righteous. Two people go. This person sits over here and says, I've been wronged in this way, and they shouldn't have done that to me, and I always do this for them, and I've done all this, and they did this to me, and this to me, and this to me, and the other person's doing the exact same thing. And the leader is the one that can open their heart, come back, and communicate from a place of acceptance. Be able to not be accusatory, to not be in pain, to say, I got to get rid of my own pain before I dump it on you. And so that's what it really means. Is that most of our communication is a pain dump. We're in pain and we're dumping that pain on the other human. And we're saying, if you behave better, you will take my pain away. I'm not big enough to take my own pain away. My pain has something to do with your behavior. And if you need to change so you stop causing me pain. And until people start understanding what that's the ability, people just say tough love. Oh, what is tough love? I kicked them out. That is not tough love. That's tough. It don't mean shit. It doesn't mean love. Well, I bought them and I cared for them and I tried to help them. That's not love. Love is what works. Love
humans. So they would rather be right and keep their heart closed and point out people's wrongness and be like that and say, I'm not going to engage anymore. And I'm not going to let you hurt me again. And people would rather do that than just open their heart back open and try to understand. And I also see that you can't talk people out of pain when they want to be in it. You can't teach your way out of it. People's pain is self-chosen. They're happy with it. They're comfortable with it. They like living in this righteous kind of way. And you see it, and it was odd. It was odd to me. To me, it was like, oh my God. You know how quickly I started practicing acceptance when I knew it was the answer. When they told me pain is resistance to what is, I was just like, oh shit. I thought everyone would just follow suit. I was like, all you got to do is not resist what is. And then somebody would be in pain and they'd be angry. And I go, you're resisting what is. That's crazy. It is that way. And you don't want it to be. That's fucking nuts. That's nuts. It is that way. And you don't want it to be. But it is that way. But I don't want it to be. But it is that way. And it's so nuts that it's not clear that all we have to do is take a breath and accept the way it is. And now we're not in pain and we can deal with it. But rather the route that they go down is that pain shouldn't have caused me pain. It shouldn't be this way. And now I'm going to go over here and talk to everybody about how I was screwed. And I'm going to talk to everyone that listened to tell them I got a raw deal in life. I'm going to listen to everyone. And when I tell people the story, I'm not going to mention that my heart closed. I'm not going to mention any of the flippant things I said. I'm not going to mention that I was harsh. I'm not going to mention that I was sarcastic. I'm not going to mention any of that stuff because I'm innocent. In my own life, in my relationships, I am an innocent. So every story I hear about relationship, the person telling me is like this. Well, what'd you do? I didn't do nothing. Nothing? Nope. Didn't do nothing. They just treated me this way. And I'm like, wow, I got 36 years of history or 50 years of history that says that's not true. That 100% of the time, I've never even, I could see a homeless person could come up to me and I go, and he could just treat me crazy. And I could probably conclude, oh, I should have looked at him nicer. I should have done something a little better. I should have handled that better. I can always conclude why I'm being treated this way. I can look out in this crowd and I can conclude who's looking at me. Oh, I don't agree with Art, and I don't like this one, Art. I can look, I can see, and then I can actually go, oh, they don't like it because they're in the midst of that right now. And I can conclude why they're treating me that way. It's very easy to do. I don't know why we don't do it, but it's very easy thing to do to figure out how you're getting treated, how you're getting treated. And so it's just this whole thing though, right? And I live in the epicenter of it. I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. And then I say, well, do you like the results? No, I don't like the results, but you're not guilty. So how could you change the results? You can't ever get a different result if you're not guilty. See, only us, I've never been innocent. I've always been guilty. One time I was sitting at a poker table early on in recovery, and there was a gentleman across the way, and he happened to be a plumber. And we got in a little scuffle about a hand. And I said to him, you know what you should do? You should fix some toilets and be quiet. He didn't like that. And I knew it was escalating. And he started keep talking anymore. And I go, man, please leave the cards to me. You stick to the toilets. Yeah. He didn't like that one either. And then finally he goes, let's go outside right now. And he was standing right here. And I said, is there a toilet out there that needs cleaning? And then the punch came. Oh, he hit me. And I knew he was going to hit me. Of course he's going to hit me. You know? And then I'm in a fight. And I knew I was going to get in a fight. But I didn't get punched and then wait for the security guard to go, I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. No, I know what I do to cause things in my life. I know everything I do to cause my life. Everything. I know what I do to cause her to be happy. I know what I do to cause her to be unhappy. I know everything. And I am not innocent. I am guilty of all of it. Every charge that I've ever been charged with, guilty. Guilty is charged. But when I operate with an open heart from a place of acceptance, things go my way. Results happen. I can communicate clearly with people. You see, if you've ever been on a text war with your kid on a chat or a messaging string, you understand closed heart. You can watch a person texting. I'll tell you how you know if they got a closed heart when they're texting. Their thumbs are moving really fast. And they're trying to respond, and we're trying to get them. We're trying to get them. We want to make our point. We want to get them because our heart's closed and we want relief. And so we're texting and saying, you got to listen to me. You don't know it. And then it comes back crazier the next time. And you go, oh shit, that just escalated. It got crazier. And see, the way around that is to open your heart, get some clarity, calm down, quit resistance, what is, and actually be able to speak with some clarity and kindness. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm wrong, got me again. That's closed heart shit too. It's just simple. Okay, I can see myself. I can see what it's like on the other end of me. And I can clearly see why I'm being treated, how I'm being treated. It's clear. But see, the question is, do we want it? Do we want good results or do we want right? And for me, I haven't been able to figure it out yet. I know for sure the Democrats and Republicans don't want good results. They want to be right. They were willing to sacrifice this country if the other party is in charge, just so they could be right. They would like poverty. They would like homelessness. They would like the country to go down if the other person's in charge. They would rather see the whole country fail and be right that the other party was wrong than actually see us have a good country. And we know that's true. And that starts happening in our families. We start having a story that the other person is bad and the other person is wronging us. And we begin to look for evidence of that story. And we begin to say, see, they're doing it again. We're all getting screwed again. See, we told you it would turn out this way. It's happening again. We're right. The results suck. Here we are right again. The results suck. Okay, what did you do? How are you innocent? How do you participate? Do you participate with an open heart, living from acceptance and clarity? Do you speak from love? Do you speak from these places? And you don't speak from love to say you can get away with anything and that's love. No, but do you speak from love with, and do you feel your body before you talk? You know, you can feel the resistance or you can feel the openness. So do you speak from that openness or do you speak from that resistance? And I will tell you, if you speak from that resistance, you're never innocent. You're coming off some way to someone that's pissing them off. And so you can be the kindest, most respectful thing in the world, but if your heart's closed, you're not an innocent. Because no one likes that. We feel resistance in every person. We can tell in this room right now who's in resistance and who isn't. We can tell. I can look and I can see if someone's heart is open or if it's closed. And we know that about everyone we deal with it. And that's why some people can say things to people like, hey, don't do that, get up, and face no retribution if their heart's open. And then some people just say the slightest thing to someone and the person just pounces on them. And so the work of this thing, the work of tough love, it's this beautiful thing that actually a family and people can work on to do with each other and love each other in a tough way. But the toughness just means you're not going to take everything from me. You're not going to behave that way, but you're also not going to close my heart. I'm going to be able to look at you and say, I don't think that that's a good idea, is it? We don't want that to happen, do we? It's to be able to actually, man, I don't want you to have to leave the house because you're using drugs. Man, this sucks. You're putting us in this position that you can't be in the house and you got to go be homeless and you can't use drugs here. Now that's a lot different than you got to get out of my house. You need to get away from me. You see? It's kind of a teamwork thing when my heart's open. Like, I'm for you, man. I got your back, but you can't do that. It just doesn't work. And so tough love would be going to the homeless people and say, yeah, man, I get it, but this just doesn't work. I'm not angry with you, but it don't work. It don't work for you. It don't work for us. We got to fix this. Me and you. Come on. Let's go. And we got to be able to keep our heart open in these conversations with each other. telling you I've entered a new realm of dealing with politicians and people that are leaders in the community. And it's back again. I have to start all over again, practicing keeping my heart open. Because I start and I try to say I'm going to keep my heart open through this conversation, and they say some shit and it hits. I go, what the fuck? What are you just fucking? And I'm back in an argument with someone, you know? What the fuck is he thinking? He's gonna, I just asked the King County strategist on addiction. I asked him, why are we giving out pipes, foils? And his answer put me into pain, you know? It just did. What did he just say? What the hell's he thinking? No, he said, our program does a lot of good. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, like every day, one person goes upstairs and gets Suboxone. I said, how many people go there? Well, like 600. So you help 600 people get high and one person gets a little help? Sounds to me like you're helping 599 people get high. But I didn't say it like that because my heart was closed. I said it for like more like, what the fuck are you? You're a fucking idiot. I was set up on this kind of play date with this guy by a friend of ours, and it was a meet and mutual friend. Get this meeting for our mutual friend, yeah. And I'm talking to my friend that brought me to the meeting. I'm like, you hear this fucking guy? It's your friend? He's a moron. But there it is. So I think that we're really understanding what is this resistance that we're talking about. What is it that puts me into protect mode when I'm in pain? What is it that closes my heart down? What is this experience of, maybe some of you had your heart closed so long you don't know what it feels like to have it open. You see, when our heart is open, everybody is right. The world is right. Love is possible. We can look at people and we can communicate clear. When our heart is closed, everything is wrong. Food doesn't taste as good. And people become objects in the way. People become objects for us. They become things that need to be moved and changed and let's talk to and manipulated and controlled. And when our heart is open, nobody needs controlling. And the experience is simple because that experience just shut your heart down. And now you're thinking that way, but you can't operate a life from there. You can't operate anything from a closed heart. Nothing you do will be effective from a closed heart. And I ask you and challenge you to look at your whole entire life. Every time your heart is closed and you've got angry and righteous, every time, have you ever been effective? And the only time you will ever be effective is if you're forceful and controlling and happen to be dominant enough just to put that thing in its place. But beyond that, with any equality of a relationship with anything, you've never succeeded. Never. It's 100% failure rate that when your heart is closed, you will not be able to effectively communicate. And it's massively important that people understand what it means when their heart is closed, what you look like on the other end of you, what people are seeing in that anger and the righteousness of you, the look on your face, the pain, disgruntled with the person, and then to call yourself an innocent when you look at that person that way, you're not. If I go up and do group and I come in a shitty attitude and I go, you guys are just fucking, bleh, it ain't gonna work that day. I'm gonna lose respect. I'm gonna lose my ability to teach. I'm gonna lose everything. And so that's what we do as people. We lose our ability to have any power. See, we admitted we were powerless and our life's unmanageable. That means that you've now closed your heart to the world. You complain about the world, you blame the world, and you no longer you've rendered yourself useless in the matters of your own life. And the reason you're useless is because when your heart is closed, you now blame the world. You don't take any responsibility. You don't see your stuff. And all you do is complain about it. And now you've lost your ability to make a difference. And until your heart's back open, you won't make a difference. And I listened to Ari Hoffman and Jason Rantz, and I listen to all the people that are complaining about the way it is. And I go, oh, they think they can make a difference, but all they do is whine about people. And no one's going to listen to that. Everyone that they're talking about is just going to defend themselves, and the stalemate will continue. And there is zero chance of fixing the problems. And then I listen to the left do the same thing. And I listen to families do the same thing. And if you notice, the Republicans, they are very innocent. They have done nothing wrong, and neither have the Democrats. So the Democrats haven't done anything wrong. The Republicans haven't done anything wrong. But yet here we are. How did we get here? And so when are results going to matter? Fine. You're having relationship friction. Do you want that? Well, no. Okay, well, then you're going to have to not be innocent. You're going to have to get some on you. You're going to have to get guilty. You're going to have to answer for closing your heart to another person because you were scared of them. You're going to have to answer for the way you treated them. And they're going to have to answer for the way they treated you. But the only way to answer is say, wow, look at us. We're protecting ourselves from each other. We're closing our hearts. Now, it's not easy when someone's in active addiction. And a lot of my talks are either about people in active addiction. I'm not talking about relating to people in active addiction. Relating to people in active addiction and keeping your heart open might not be that effective. They're just going to stomp on you. Because somebody doing drugs, getting drugs, using drugs, finding a way to get more drugs, doesn't really care if your heart's open or not. Yeah, they don't really care. They're going to do drugs that day. And if you have this great open heart and feel great and not in resistance and not in pain because they're doing drugs, well, maybe something's wrong with that. So for me, I treat people that are in active addiction way different than I treat people that are sober. And with people that are sober, loving kindness works. For people that are in active addiction, loving kindness applied to active addiction makes that thing grow. Because the person in active addiction knows exactly how to twist that up and get what they want and manipulate and take from you. And so there is a difference when we're talking here. Right now, we're all sober, hopefully, tonight. And, maybe you might. So now I don't know what's in that but there's a difference in dealing with people who are not in danger. But when we're dealing with somebody who's using drugs, there's a lot of danger and fear around that. And it's very tough. And I'm not saying, hey, when your loved one is using drugs and an active addiction, keep your heart open. No, get that person sober by all means necessary. Handcuff them, stop them. That's what I'm saying. But I don't think it's a big feat. And I challenge people that are trying to do this love thing with people that are using drugs. That's crazy because they don't care either way. Haven't you noticed? Haven't you noticed what they did when you loved them and then what you were mad at them? Still the next day, they did the exact same thing. They got drugs and did drugs. That's the way it goes. And we can make a more impact on people using drugs by actually using strategies to stop them from using drugs. So I want to make a distinction there that I'm not saying, hey, I'm talking about our normal relationships. I'm talking about each other. I'm talking about your coworkers. I'm talking about everyone. I'm talking about, right now, the work of a family when someone's out of active addiction and they're trying to get better, but your heart's still closed to them. And you're still angry and you're still frustrated and maybe the other person can understand that or maybe they can't. But again, that's the work is saying, hey, and then just like if this was my last night ever talking, I would want people to understand pain is resistance to what is. You don't have to be in pain, people. The quicker you get to acceptance, the better this is. The quicker you feel, the quicker you understand that this is the way it is, and it must be dealt with exactly as it is. And we got something on our hands. Okay, our loved one's a drug addict. Okay, let's go. We got something on our hands. Let's deal with it. Let's power up. Let's learn. You know, there's nothing to fight about it. It's that simple. It's no tragedy. It is what it is. It's happening. So here we go. And so the quicker we get to this acceptance, and then the quicker we stay out of that blame and righteousness and closed heart. How long have you been in a closed heart recently? With a coworker? With a family member? How long have you been being right about them? How long have you been preaching your case? Family members preaching their case about the wrongness of their other family members. How long have you been doing that? What happens if you win the argument and you get it figured out that you're right and they're wrong? What happens? We sit in the same place. Nothing changes. Nothing changes until we learn to open our hearts, until we learn to communicate from a different fashion, until we learn to try to understand each other. So there's the work. You want to get rid of pain? There it is. First of all, you got to see its resistance to what it is. And second of all, you got to not want it. Most people, when their heart's closed, they want their heart to be closed. They're happy with it. They're comfortable with it. And they talk to anyone who will listen about the wrongness of the person that closed their heart. And it goes on and on and on. But they never seem to go talk to the person that closed their heart. They speak to anyone else. That's not power. Power is to open your heart and come back and go, I understand. I'm trying to figure out why we were in this situation. I'm trying to figure out why you treated me this way. Can we talk? And then throughout that conversation, you got to remain calm because your blood pressure is going to go up and it's going to want to close again. And then you keep it open and it's going to want to close, but you keep it open. And there's the practice. And it's fun. And it's good. And it gives this some meaning rather than just tragic bullshit. It gives it all meaning. I'm going to become a better person from this, from my family member who, you know, you're welcome. I used to tell my family, you guys got a lot of growing to do. You're welcome. No, I did drugs for 17 years for this family, so you guys could get better. You're welcome for all my hard work. You know? Learn to love me. I love that. Well, there's another one. Drug addicts thinking that they should get unconditional love. What the hell are you talking about, man? The arrogance of someone thinking they should be loved unconditionally. That is arrogant. I want to behave however I want to behave, treat you like shit, and you should still love me. What? That's nuts. That's nuts. Oh, no, my mom loves me unconditionally. She shouldn't. You shouldn't. She should actually hold you, you know, in a different standard. Hey, man, if you treat me this way, do we ever love our husbands unconditionally? I want to hear women loving their husbands unconditionally. He's cheated on me 9 times and I love him unconditionally. He didn't mow the lawn for years. I had to mow it while he sat and watched the game, but I love him unconditionally. Why don't husbands get that? It's only sons. I never even really hear about daughters getting loved unconditionally. I cannot even see a young lady looking up at her mother and going, you should love me, but mom smacks her. But sons seem like they deserve it. Mom, what kind of a manipulation is that? Mom, you should love. And then mothers go, I love my kid unconditionally. Okay. So he's allowed to treat you like shit. Oh, love it. You know, Angie, treat me. Angie, I've lost all our money. Love me. Not going to work anymore. You need to work. Love me. Got 3 other girlfriends I'm going out dating this week. Love me. And my dishes are in the sink. Will you take care of those? Then she goes, I don't want to do unconditional love. Get in there. You know, the arrogance of that. Who do you love unconditionally? Drug addicts thinking they deserve that? Name one person a drug addict loves unconditionally. Themselves, their drugs. That's unconditional love. No matter how the drugs treat them, they still use them. That's what they love unconditionally. Their dealer can treat them like shit, do anything, they'll still go back to him. It's nonsense. Nonsense. We need to treat each other right with open hearts. We need to actually, and drug addicts need to be responsible for that too. They need to understand why they're being treated the way. I don't understand why my parents are mad at me. Because you're smoking fentanyl and they haven't seen you since last Christmas. And they stay up every night worrying about you. And you don't know why you're getting treated the way you're getting treated? You're a lunatic. And now we've empowered people to believe using drugs is the right thing to do. We don't want a stigma on it. We want people to be used and be able to use drugs and not to say that behavior is bad in any way. It is bad. It's harmful. It hurts everyone around it. There's never been a successful drug addict. There's never been one successful drug addict that made people's life better when they were using drugs. In fact, they ruined theirs and everyone around them. And we're supposed to love that? Why? Where's the unconditional love for adulterers? Where's the unconditional love for people that are suffering from obesity? How come we aren't giving people that are suffering from obesity Big Mac coupons? You need more. We don't want to have to get up. We're going to bring you the coupons. No, that's not loving someone. Love is someone, hey man, I want better for you. I don't want to make it easier for you. I want to make it a little difficult for you to get high. I want to kind of, I want to kind of show you that we're upset. And all of you people that have been in addiction, I don't think you know the depths of worry. I don't think you have even an inkling of what it's like to worry about another human being all night and not sleep. You don't know what it's like to not sleep and worry about someone else, and to think that you should do drugs and leave people not sleeping and going through what they're going through and not have to make amends for that. Not have to come back and say, hey, I got to earn my family's love back here, man. I've put them through a lot. Just years. See, my dad used to always say, the thing about you is, Art, you get to do drugs and escape. We got to sit and look at you. We don't get to do drugs. We got to deal with the reality of our broken family. And you don't have to deal with the reality. You just get to take drugs and nod off and go away and not even talk to anyone for years. And I got that. I understood that. I saw why I was getting treated by my family the way I was getting treated. It's clear. I don't need to I'm not innocent. But just not innocent. Stop trying to tell people you're innocent. You're not innocent with your boss. You're not innocent with your coworkers. You're not innocent with your family. You're causing the matter. You're doing it. You're doing it. Just look, feel. But if you keep an open heart and you feel open, you can do anything you want. You can communicate however you want. You can tell people what you want to tell them. You can look at people and you don't have to say, your addiction is ruining my, don't talk from there. But when your heart's open, you can say, man, you're really screwing me. You don't know what it's like to be me. You know what it's like to worry about you. You don't know what it's like on the other end of you, man. And you can get through. But as soon as that heart closes, you're guilty. Because all the shit you say after that is going to be for your own protection, not for their good. No one likes that. So I practice. The work is to keep my heart open. That's it. If I want to be responsible for my relationships and be the one that's in charge, or at least leading the way with people, then I have to be the one that keeps my heart open more than other people. And when I do something to close someone else's heart, I have to be interested enough to open it back up and to say, what did I do? Why are you closed down to me? Can we talk? Did I do something? And usually I already know what I did. Sometimes I do something wrong with Ange and then I'm like, well, very rarely. But and she's like, I know what I did. You know what you did. And then you're like, what is it? You know what it's going to be. No man doesn't know what they did. No. That all men are innocent and all women are innocent. Bunch of innocents. I had a kid. He calls me, Dick, he was the name. He calls me from one of the sober houses and he says, Art, you need to get over here. All right. I drive over there. Goes, this guy punched me in the face. Just punched me in the face. I go, out of the blue. He just punched you in the face? And he goes, yep. And I go, you didn't do nothing? And he goes, nope. I go, nothing? Nope. And he just punched you? Yep. And I go, okay. Hey, a little while later, we're talking. And I go, hey, do you think he's going to punch you in the face tomorrow? And he goes, no. Then you know what you did. You see? So he knows what he did. Because how could he predict if he was going to get punched in the face tomorrow if he just did nothing today and got punched in the face? You see what I'm saying? I mean, if I got punched in the face today and I did nothing, I would have to leave that area and those people. And I go, I got to get away from these people. They punch you in the face for doing nothing. But not him. He's going to stay and not get punched in the face tomorrow. But you know what you did. And from a young age, we've known what we've did. And those two little kids fighting. And you let that one little innocent be there. Oh, just like in the football field. You see the one guy slap the other guy. He doesn't get the penalty flag. And then the other guy slaps the other guy and the penalty gets thrown on him. And then, I didn't do anything. Yeah, I know. There are no innocents. We know what we did. Trace it back. We know why we're getting treated, how we're getting treated. You better. If you don't, you're just not self-aware. You're not looking at yourself. Oh, okay. It's hot in here. Questions, comments?
Angie, you could spotlight art. You can't.
Ah,
Without Nico here, we're.
come on.
And
Bring forth some of the problems. Give me something to work with. Tell me how you're innocent. See, this shuts everyone up. They don't want it. Well, maybe you truly don't know. Maybe you are being mistreated. You know? Maybe you need answers. Maybe you need to learn. Yes.
So for people that have like are trending towards having a closed heart or whatever, what are like the first steps that they can take to try to at least become aware of it?
Yeah. I think people need to understand pain, and there's two different modes. Come on in, guys. You make it, it's like the cops are here. I feel like I'm being pinched by the cops, man. You see, it started for me with just a simple thing about whether I was set or whether I was upset. So for me, I'm either set or I'm upset. Well, I know what happens when I'm upset. But see, and I know what happens when I'm set. So right now I'm set. Now, if somebody says something to me, I might get upset. But something happens in the middle of set and upset. So something happens to us and you miss it. So most people miss that something is going on in your body. That when somebody is saying something, you are insecure. And I when I talk about people's insecurities, I'm not talking about the mind's insecurities. I'm not talking like I don't like my nose. I think my butt is too big. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the feeling of a human being feeling insecure, feeling unsafe. And so when we go from set to upset, it's because a feeling of unsafeness came over our body. A heart rate increase, a tightening of the muscles, a starburst of thoughts, and a protective, and then a closed heart. And so we have to understand that process and be able to feel it in our bodies of that moment where this thing hit, where something came out from the outside and hit and caused my body to tense up, The words cause my body to tense up. The actions cause my body to tense up. And I immediately went from, okay, I was fine. And now I'm flipped out. And I think people need to distinguish, and then people dealing with each other from that upset and closed heart. And so once we get upset, once that process happens, now we close our heart. The other person now looks like the enemy. They look like an object that we need to neutralize. They look like somebody that we need to yell at and stop them from closing our hearts and stop them from giving us this experience. You're basically every bit of upset is your words are giving me an experience inside of my body that I can't handle. That's what it is. Your words right now are giving me an experience in my body that I can't handle because I'm not used to pain and I'm not handling the pain. That's every upset in the history of the world. So, I mean, there's very rare ones that are real that we need to get all crazy about right now. I remember something that used to hit me really hard when I first started in the recovery. I was a kind of a big AA guy. And then somebody would be like, I don't like AA. And then I would go, it would cause me to be like, what the, you don't like AA? You know, and now I'm like, it's like he just said you don't like AA. And to me, I'm all flipped out, like going nuts, like it's the end of the world, like he's gonna die. And then you have to like calm. It's like I've learned over time, I have to talk to myself like, hey, little Art, calm down, dude. It's not, there's no real threat here. And most of our threats that we're getting in this mode are all fake snakes. You know, the experience of a fake snake is very similar to the experience of a real snake when we think it's a real snake. So our body goes into this kind of, well, he just said words, you know, like I'm sitting there with this guy talking about harm reduction, and then he says words, and my body's like, oh, like I'm threatened. My very existence is going to end if I don't get this neutralized. And so now I'm coming over the top, like, you better, you know, it's like, what's it going to do? The grand scheme of things. So, yeah. So understanding upset, understanding that experience at the exact moment where the upset is hitting our heart.
That's the hard part.
I used to say that I'd learned this experience so well because I used to get pummeled with people's stuff. And people, when they're in trouble, they need someone to blame. And I used to be very good at I could take a lot of blame. And I actually wanted it because it gave me this experience. And what would happen was this stuff would be going on, and I could literally feel like a bottle rocket of adrenaline shooting up. And if I leaned back and I breathed, I could saw it go, I could have it go by. But if it hit my heart and I missed it, it would pull me forward out of my seat like that. And it would cause a reaction in me. And if I missed it, it was too late. And then I'm in it. And I'm not unaware of myself and what I'm saying. But if I could lean back, watch it go by, and go, ooh, that one just hit. Okay. That hit my shit. Okay, I feel it. Got it. Calm down, Art. Now I can stay there. Michael Singer calls it the seat of consciousness. I can stay in my seat. And there's always life trying to pull us out of our seat. People's words, people's actions are always trying to pull us. And so I learned to stay in my seat. And then people would say, you're upsetting me, Art. And I would go like, okay. And then I would go, but you're not upsetting me. Because see, I'm responsible for my upsets because my upsets have to do with my insecurities, not what they're doing. So why does that guy's comments make me so insecure is the question. Well, it's affecting my very identity. I'm worried about what people will think of me, you know, all that kind of stuff. So you realize most of this stuff is reputational, what it looks like. Yeah, practicing staying set. Because once that experience happens, once your heart closes, there's a lot of work to get it back open again. You still got to go through the cycle then. But the cycle is what? My heart closed. Now I need to do what? What do people need to do when their heart closed? Well, maybe you grab a glass of wine and call a friend and you vent. You see? So heart closed, vent. So basically it goes like this, like pain. I don't like what's happening in this situation. I saved myself from embarrassment of yelling and acting out right now, but I'm still in a lot of pain and I don't like, oh, and this is, I'm innocent. This isn't, phone. You're not going to believe what so-and-so did. Like, you know? And so there's the process. And we vent out that painful energy. So the painful energy and the only way to get our heart back open is venting or righteousness. But that doesn't really do the trick because every time the topic's brought back up again, our heart closes again. And so it's a cycle. And until we actually open our heart back and talk to that person, you're never going to get out of the cycle. They're always going to rent space in your head and they're always going to be able to close your heart. And the key to that is enough clarity to open the heart back up and then get them to, and then seek understanding of them. Get to the place where we understand why we're experiencing what we're experiencing. What's going on? What did I do to upset you? What did you do? What, you know? So yeah. Learning that all of my upsets are caused by a feeling of insecurity in my body that I couldn't handle. I didn't feel safe. And then to me, anger got pretty ridiculous. It just got to be this ridiculous thing that meant that I was really scared. And then I started looking at the shit that I was getting all scared about. And I was like, oh, you look like an idiot. Like you're getting all scared over because someone said, I don't know. Someone said they didn't like AA and I'm fucking raging. Tell someone to make their bed and they don't. You're like, what? You know I love you. Force, not power. Power comes from an open heart. Force comes from a lot of people have been successful at being so forceful in their life that people just get dominated by them and listen, but nobody's happy with that. You know, you know, I used to always think the coolest guy in the room was the guy that could come in and yell at everyone and everyone would shut up. I thought I'm going to be that guy one day. I'm going to be the boss that can come onto the work site and just yell at everyone and tell them how bad they are. And they're going to all get to work and I'm going to walk off like I did something. And then you get there and you realize, God, I look like an idiot. You know, boy, I feel stupid. All right, more.
Got about 10 minutes left, so there's time, those of you at home as well, if anybody has
Yeah.
any comments, questions in the house or.
I remember as my two boys were growing up, saying to them, I said, just like this, I said, you're not gonna be goddamn doormats.
Yeah.
And good, bad, and different.
Well, you've succeeded at that. Jesus Christ. You should have leaned over to.
Wise.
Yeah. Well, you should have prefaced that with, and you're also not going to be an asshole. Because Stamp went over to, no. Wake up, Stamp. Had a long day at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was admiring how good he looks. Yeah. Yeah. Stamp's a changed man.
He likes his job.
Yeah.
At least I think he does.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
One more good question to
Questions, comments, anything?
there's only one thing you have to give up to have good relationships. Only one. Anyone know what it is? Yeah, that's it. All you have to do is give up being right. And not just give up being right. It's not like that. It's not like somebody does bad behavior and you go, well, I'm not even going to point it out or anything like that. There's a difference between being right and making people wrong. You see, we go past people being wrong. If people are wrong, they're wrong. Well, you should be able to keep an open heart and just talk to them. But we make people wrong. And by that, what I mean is we start to develop a story in our head about the nature of the other people's wrongness. And then everything they do, we throw into that category of their wrongness. And we are actually building a case to end the relationship. That's what we do. As human beings, for the most part, what I've noticed is nobody really wants to be in a relationship unless it goes swimmingly for them. But if it doesn't go their way, they begin to build a case about why they need to leave the relationship. So every time that you're complaining about a relationship to somebody else, what you're doing is setting it up so you can leave that relationship and not be at fault. So I see people doing it all the time. I want to explain to you about how bad this other person is so that when I end this relationship, you understand why I did it. And I'm building a case. And so people are building a case and building a case. And finally, they quit the job. They leave the boss. They leave the coworkers. They divorce. They do whatever they do to stop the pain of their closed heart. Well, that relationship is just closing your heart. That's what's happening. And when that happens, you put that in the old bank. And you save up all the times that they closed your heart, and you don't accredit it to your own insecurities. You accredit it to their behavior. And so now a bunch of things happening. You're not working on your own insecurities. You're not getting any better or growing. And you're ending the relationship piece by piece, incident by incident. And so these relationships take maintenance. They take hard maintenance. They take, hey, my heart closed. I don't want to go vent about you to somebody else. I'm not going to go talk about your bad behavior to someone. I'm going to notice that my heart closed. I'm going to work to open it, and then we're going to seek understanding of each other. And this is how we're going to work. And the leader is the one that can do that. You know, when I first got together, I had an ex, and me and her would practice the thing called the silent treatment. You know what I mean? That was a good one. It was like, you know, she did something wrong, and then I go, I'm not talking to her today. And then I would, you know, and then if I did something wrong, my ex, she had the silent treatment, but the aggressive cleaning silent treatment. So I was getting the silent treatment, but the vacuuming was really loud, and the dishes were getting put away really loud. And I was like, oh, okay. It's like the silent treatment with a twist, you know? And you know, when you really start doing this work and you go, how crazy is that the person I love, I want to give the silent treatment to? The person that I just said I love you last night to, I want to now not talk to today. And the reason you don't want to talk to them is because your heart is closed. And you want to protect yourself. And you don't want to experience that pain. And you also want to punish them. You want to put them through some type of punishment about their behavior because your mind has somehow convinced you that that's going to work. That if you punish them, they won't do it again. And so when Ange and I got together, it was simple. We've both done this work. We've both been doing it for years, keeping our hearts open. So there'd be incidents where I'd be like, I'm not going to talk to her. And then it'd be like a second later, I'd be like, but I want to talk to her. Oh, now I got a problem. See, because I got to suck up my pride and I got to like not be righteous. And now I got to approach the situation and I can't just go accuse her of all of her bad behavior and hope that she goes, you're right, I was acting crazy. So that never works. You know, I've told her how crazy she's acting. Not one time has she ever believed it, you know. You know, we never call each other names, but I love when guys do this one. They go, you're being a bitch. And then the woman always goes, you just called me a bitch. And then the guy goes, no, I said, you're being a bitch. I love that one. Yeah, no, let me clarify. You're acting like one. I would never call you one. You know? So there's this thing where you have to swallow your pride and you have to open your heart back up, and it's humiliating because you might not have acted too great. And you have to acknowledge that when your heart's open. And so now you have to do this work of coming back. And I got a beautiful wife that does it on her own. And we keep our hearts open. That's the number one, that's the only work in our relationships are hard work. No, keeping your heart open is hard work. Then the relationship is easy because with open hearts, we can communicate. We can both see ourselves clearly as not guilty or as not innocent. And when our heart's closed, then I'm always innocent. I never did anything wrong. But when my heart's open, I can see it clear. Okay. Okay, I said that. I get why you went like that. That was harsh, you know? I kind of like, you know, can you kind of look around? Can you put yourself in that other person's shoes and feel your words land on them? Can you do that? You know, what does it feel like on the other end of me? I've had to take that harsh reality about what it feels like on the other end of me, and I come to the conclusion a lot that it doesn't feel very good on the other end of me sometimes. And then you try to smooth yourself out a little bit, get a little better. There's the work. Solution group. Solution. The solutions are always in the open heart. It always lies there. The problems are always in the closed heart. It's always there. So, hi. Is your heart open? There you go. There you go. You see? Yeah. She's debatable. She's like, I don't know about this fucking guy. I can feel it. I know. I've opened and closed her heart like 4 different times on this. You know? I start talking about what family members have done when they're in it, and she's like, yeah, you're right. I did get screwed. Okay.
So when we're talking open heart, it makes sense to go one-on-one, like, okay, dumbassery right here, got it, check.
Yeah.
You can't get admit it.
Yeah.
And that's, apparently dumbassery is my term for, I got my open heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in a room of people, like you said, you're talking the macro, the
Mhm.
Republicans, the Democrats,
Mhm.
big things. But when it comes to a room, you're in a room for 5 people, 10 people, a family, and there's discord.
Yeah.
How do you start playing with the open heart when there's, let's say it was from 50, 60 different viewpoints
Yeah.
and it's divided?
Yeah.
How do you start managing that in a larger group?
There was a point, and it's not now. There was a point where the number one priority in my life for me, and Angie remembers this time, and people around me remember this time, where the only priority in my life was to keep an open heart. Now, when that's true, for you, that would become a priority. When you're in that room, your focus is different. Your focus isn't really generally on what's going on or making a difference or agreeing or disagreeing. Your focus is on your heart rate. Your focus is on the muscles tightening and going. So this is a practice. It's something I recommend. And I've went through phases of my life where I use it, and I have to use it now if I go in political things. So when I'm in a political room, I'm like, calm down. They just said words, breathe, and you have to track yourself. I call it driving in the snow, So after an exhaustion of being around difficult people and disagreements and people that aren't lined up and being in a room like that, it's, when you drive across the mountain in the snow, do you know the energy and focus it takes to drive in the snow? And that's the kind of energy and focus it is to feel our body's fluctuation. And if we're focusing on our mind and their mind, we will miss the fluctuations in our body. And once the body fluctuates, the mind will focus on neutralizing the cause. That person's an idiot. That person's an idiot. I can't believe they're saying that. And we begin to and appalled, want to vent, you see. And the thing is to, especially when we're dealing with difficult people and these hard talks that families have to have, and these hard political talks that people have to have. And we need somebody that's, I don't know if I'm there, but we need somebody that's an evolved person that understands their body, to be able to have these conversations and keep everyone calm and de-escalate and keep your heart open so that you can keep the communication flowing in a positive way. And, you know, it takes a person that's responsible for their upsets and insecurities. So I realize when I go into those rooms, there's tons of insecurities I have. I want to be known. I want my way to be listened to. I want, you know, listen to me now. I know you just met me tonight, but I'm smarter than you. You know, like I want all that now. And then I have to chill out, little art. Like, chill out, dude. Breathe. Keep an open heart. Talk to people from a different space. Stop just jumping on people and calling them wrong when they talk. Be open. And then that's either your practice is there or it's not. And if it's not, you're just going to be involved in the difficulty. You're just going to be like everyone else who's in there going, you know, and that's why we've created echo chambers. That's why they exist. There's the left echo chamber and there's the right echo chamber. And we congregate in our echo chamber because everybody likes to go around and get agreed with. And so that's just what we have is we have, you know, I go to both sides shit and it's just the echo chamber. You want to get together into, oh, there's somebody that's infiltrated the echo chamber. Then everybody's on edge, right? There's a liberal in the room. Watch out. There's a Republican in the room. Everyone zip it. You know, that's how it's gotten. People are going out to dinner with their friends. Watch what you say tonight, honey. They're liberals. You know? Watch what you say. Don't tell them we're voting for Trump. Don't tell, or somebody else's, don't tell them we're voting for Kamala. Don't tell them we don't want to talk tonight. Why? Because as soon as the talk starts, we're going to close our heart. We're going to treat each other like objects. We're going to treat each other as wrong. And we're not going to be able to talk no more. And we're going to protect ourselves with sarcasm and shitty words. And we can't even talk because we're not practicing keeping an open heart. So we're just going to talk about each other's wrongness and it's not going to go anywhere. And everyone knows that. And you're never going to go out to dinner with a Kamala fan or a Trump fan and convince them to go otherwise. It's not with a closed heart anyways. Maybe with an open heart, you might be able to have discourse. And say, well, what about this? Or what about that? And I've seen that. All right.
So a couple things before I close up. 2 weeks from tonight, we're doing a special. So there's 5 Tuesdays in the month of October. Normally solution groups are the first and the third Tuesday, right? Well, we are still having a group. It's Battlefield Addiction Impact Night with Emily. From homeless to homeowner to home seller. She's got an incredible story. So we hope everybody will come out. It's 7 o'clock. So 2 weeks from tonight, Tuesday, October 29th. And then we might be doing a group coaching on the 30th. Stay tuned. We haven't had a group coaching in a while. I think that might be the night.
You got to
Stay
come hear
tuned.
Emily's story.
Yes.
I'm talking about, you know, along the way, her mother passed away in early recovery. Her family was apart. Her parents did coaching with us. You know, all the way from this girl being on the streets of Seattle to now 2 newborn
13 dreams.
married,
That's her famous words. 13 dreams.
two newborn kids, a husband, selling houses, has her own sober living. Like, you know, this girl's doing it. And this is street level homelessness, you know, all the way to where she's at now. So please come and listen.
And then there's one. Oh, I was just gonna mention in the new year, we have a new space that we're looking at. And that we'll be doing workshops coming the new year, so that's coming, a lot of
It's not a new space, it's our house.
Mhm.
Yeah. Quit inviting people over to our house.
Exciting. So yeah, other than that, the auction reminder, a Sunday, all you ladies that can come help with the baskets, this Sunday here at 11 a.m. We're gonna have a good time. Bring
And
your
one
items.
closing remark. When you're describing to somebody and venting out your innocence and telling them how you're an innocent and telling them how you're being wronged, stop. Remember this. Just stop. There's no point. There's no value in it. It's not working. So stop. Open your heart. Go back. Talk to the person. Re-engage. Get this stuff worked out. You know, a little open heart discourse can't hurt us. So here it is. Pain is resistance to what is. Do you want to be in pain or not? Pain is a closed heart. Pain is this righteousness, this suffering that we cause ourselves. All because we don't want to open our heart and we want to protect ourselves from our loved ones and people around us. So I challenge you all, keep it open this week, know when it's closed, understand yourself and re-engage with each other. So thank you for coming.
See you moms tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Good night, everybody. Good night, good night. Yeah.